to Ravenbrook Recovery Church. I am Pastor Uni, and I'm so grateful that all of you guys just decided to come and check out this service today. So this is our Crosswalk service. It's a little bit, whoop whoop. It's a little bit different than the rest of the services, because tonight you get to hear someone's testimony, and that's going to be Aaron Seifert back there. He's going to wave right there, which means I'm not preaching. Don't all clap at once. But we're going to hand out clean time crosses at the end of the service here, so make sure you stick around for that to mark your clean time, because we want to celebrate, because any day clean is a beautiful, beautiful thing. Any hour, any second. So we want to celebrate together. So we're going to start off with a couple of announcements, or maybe just one. And that is, we've got The Color of Compromise. And so this is based off of a book, and we've been watching the docuseries at this guy's church. Some of you guys remember him. This is Jamin. This is Pastor Jamin Bradley at 1208 Greenwood Church. And you want to tell them about Color Compromise? Because you're here. I can get the easy way out.
It's a book about the color of compromise. You're welcome. So Jamar Tisby gives a good look at, a lot of times we hear history phrased in a way that we figured out racism and overcame it, all these things. But Jamar kind of takes us through history and shows us that at every step along the way, the church always kind of chose complicity to compromise the gospel by either not standing up against racism or not standing up enough against racism. Even when hearts were clear that it was wrong, they would continue to kind of keep their distance and not step up enough. And so it's just a reminder that, do we do that today? If so, what do we do to fix that? It's a good look at just kind of racism throughout history and into today. So that's kind of what it's about. And we've got 6 weeks on it. This upcoming week will be week 3, 2 episodes and then 20 minutes with Maisha kind of taking us through discussion after, or Uni, whatever you call her here.
I don't have multiple personalities.
Unique.
Well, yeah. Back in my day, she had a different name, and then
she lied to all of you about her identity.
Oh my gosh. We have a long history. It's cool. It's cool. So anyhow, come and check that out on Tuesdays from 6 to 8? 6 to 7? 7 to 8? What is it?
6 to 7.
6 to 7. Tuesday night, 6 to 7 at 1208 Greenwood Church. We're excited to have you guys. So we're going to go ahead and just quickly move into offering. We have a standing offering. Feel free to come up, place that in the box. And then Jamin is going to lead us in some worship. And then we're going to hear from Aaron.
Am I starting now? Originally, Maisha said, Uni, whatever, told me to choose a few songs and that she would come and sing them with me. And then just a little bit ago, she's like, how about you play all songs you've made? So this wasn't my choice, and I recognize you won't know any of them, but words will be up on the screen. If you catch on, feel free to sing along. Otherwise, feel free to kind of dwell on the lyrics and see what God might have for you in that.
Hours I spent stand here looking again at all that you made, seeing how you love me so much through all that you gave, and I find my shelter in your shade. In the sunrise, and I'll stand over the beauty of your love. In the sunset, and I will watch fall in the wonder of your grace. The rocks cry out your glory, the mountains sing your praise, the skies echo the story of your love's amazing grace. The trees will wave the branches, the grass will bow before, the animals stop prancing, leaping high up off the floor. The clouds will come flashing, the lightning will strike hard, the waves will stop crashing, and with you all so far, the flowers reflect the sweetness as the sun will rise. The birds sing the greatness, and with you I fly so high in the sun will rise. I will stand over the beauty of your love. The sun will set, and I will watch you fall in the wonder of your grace.
A lot of the songs I write are very slow, so we got our fast one out of our system. If you're feeling low on hope, this one I hope will give you some hope.
I need hope for today to combat these fears that are coming my way. I need hope for tomorrow, 'cause without your hope I'd be lost in my sorrows and woe. Oh, oh, I've been living in pain, 'cause without your hope there ain't reason to say. I've been lost in a daze, 'cause joy and peace are found in you, there's no other place. And so hope, come find me, this I pray. Don't leave me all alone. I can't last another day left here on my own. And I've got hope in the God of hope, in the hope of the Spirit. up for today to combat these fears that are coming my way. I need hope for tomorrow, 'cause without your hope I'd be lost in my sorrow. Do one more for you. Does anybody feel there's more than this? Than a hollow, shallow life of emptiness? 'Cause my heart it claims that we were born for love, to color in the world with every touch. And I know that we can find it if we want to. A little bit of heaven in this world. It must be more than the hatred I can swallow. It must be more than this petty life I live. Because I know if I hold this till tomorrow, a heart of stone will be the only thing I can give. God in heaven, won't you hear my plea? The soul's prone to wander, prone to evil things. Will you send your spirit, send him from above to a broken corpse and teach it how to love? Yes, I know that there is goodness inside me. For a child plays deep down within these bones. There must be more than the hatred I can swallow. There must be more than this petty life I live. Because I know if I hold this till tomorrow, a heart of stone will be the only thing I can give. The choruses, they never do just. Life that I am living is full of rust. Prepare this mind, teach it how to love. Choruses, they never do just. Empty words unless I back them up. Prepare this heart and teach it how to love. bleeding souls and watching bright lights fade within, inflicting pain and fearing grief and sorrow. There must be more than the shadows of my sin. While my love may lie trampled in the dust, and my life may fade like pictures in the sun, still the most important question you will ask is if I poured out love with every single breath.
Give it up for Jamin. Thanks so much, Jamin. See why I had him do his own music? He wrote all of that. It's amazing. So amazing. So, in case you don't know, I used to work for Jamin. I was his associate pastor at 1208 Greenwood Church. And so, it's because of his deep love for God that he even gave me a chance to recognize and hear my own calling to be a pastor. So, I'll always be grateful for that.
So this next guy we're going to bring up here, Aaron Seifert. Some of you guys in the Jackson community know him because he has served the Jackson recovery community for the past few years faithfully. He has loved this community. He has been a great example for how to walk out our lives of recovery. So if you guys could join me in welcoming Aaron to the stage.
Okay. Check. Good. Okay. Thanks for coming out, everyone. It's great to see everyone out here tonight. I haven't had the opportunity to share my story in a while in front of people, so I'm truly thankful for that. Wow, where do I start? So Uni said I had about a half an hour. It takes usually about an hour and a half to tell my story. But I'm gonna condense it down. First off, I'm just thankful, and I've been really, really touched by God in my life, and I'm just very thankful for that. It's led me to places I never thought I'd be, and it's took me out of places that I'll never return to. So let's start from the beginning. I'm kind of a local. I grew up in Springport. I was born here in Jackson. I lived out in the country. I had what you would call pretty much a typical upbringing. Not too many struggles. I just was, as I got older, I found out through working through things that I'd become like really like the adrenaline. Like I like to do stuff that really would spike me up and have a lot of fun as a teenager. But then I was kind of introduced to a different crowd and found substances, and it led me through a long path of just destruction. I mean, that's the one word that could sum all of that up. Pretty much all of our stories are kind of the same. We have the same common denominator. Just doing whatever we can to escape pain or feel pleasure, and for whatever reason that we used to pick up. One thing I want to kind of go off is Jamin's second song there, Hope. There's an acronym for that I found through this process of recovery, and it's Hold On, Pain Ends. Every time I hear hope, I think of that, because if you just hold on to God's word and your faith and believe, I wouldn't say that the acronym's completely true, because not all pain ends. I mean, we're still going to feel pain, but we just learn how to manage it in a healthy way. I don't want to get into like everything that I used to do when I was actively using. What I used and everything like that is kind of irrelevant. The substance use disorder is it is a disease. It will take over your mind, and it'll take you to places where you never thought you'd be, and have you do things that you wouldn't do. And it takes time to come out of that, but if you really want to change your life, you can. It all starts with you. You know, I have a lot of mentors in my life, and one of them was always told me, he said, Aaron, you got to be honest with you about you. And that's one of the hardest things to do. You know, we can go in front of people and sugarcoat things and kind of touch the surface on stuff, but until you're truly honest with you about you and dig deep and find out what it is that you were designed for, you might be stuck for a little bit. So I've been incarcerated many times in my life. I've been to prison twice, and so I went through all of my mess, worked through, found out the reason that I really even started to use was kind of recreation, but then it turned to, I don't want to feel pain. Like, some things happened in my life that I just didn't know how to manage when I was 15. So I did what a lot of people do, and I ran. You know, I was scared, so I went out on my own and just did whatever that day brought. You know what I mean? I would pick up whatever it was that I could use, so that I didn't feel that pain and have a little bit of pleasure with it. Through it all, in my upbringing, like, my parents never took me to church, but they had always, you know, practiced the principles, and they, you know, talked to me about God, but they didn't like read the Bible to me or anything like that. So I didn't really have an understanding. I just, you know, as a kid, I was like, oh, okay, well, there's a God, and he loves me, and, you know, I really don't have a relationship with him. How do you have a relationship with somebody that's not there, right? So I kind of battled with that for a while, because, you know, the things that happen in life that are beyond our control, that are devastating to us, the question is, you know, how would a loving God allow that to happen? And we kind of go down that road, and I was stuck on that for a while. Then I got to a point after one of my incarcerations that, you know, I guess I developed my faith. I wouldn't say that I rebuilt a relationship or started one with them at that point, but I started to develop a relationship, and I started to understand what it looks like and what it could do for me. And some of my troubles were lifted, but I still had reservations in the back of my mind and in my life that I don't want to feel pain, and I want to feel pleasure, and I'm not finding that. You know, I'm not finding that. I still have that void in my life. A lot of us will find ourselves surrounded by people that love us, and you still feel empty, you know. That was me for a long time. You know, I was like, well, there's something missing. There's something missing. And what that was, it wasn't God. It wasn't Jesus that was missing. He was always there. It was me to be open and willing to engage into a relationship with him based on his word. So at first I was like trying to do it my way. Like, I didn't want to read his word because I wanted my life to be how it is. And, you know, he you know, put some lumps on my head for a long time. You know, he's like, listen to me, you know, and I couldn't listen to him because I wasn't really reading his word. I would touch on it and take some things out of it that I wanted to apply because it suited me and what I wanted to do. Well, that led me to my second prison sentence, and this time I have a history of, you know, things, and it was a 4th degree habitual. It was in Calhoun County, and I was facing 7 to 9 years for my minimum, up to life, because it was 4th degree habitual. So I was facing some stuff. I was detoxing off a lot of things, so it took me about 30 days to actually come to the severity of the situation. Let me backtrack a little bit. During all of this, no, we'll come back to that. I don't want to put them on the spot yet. So, okay. I started going to the Bible studies they had in jail at the county, and I've been there before. I've visited that place frequently, And I always liked what the pastor Dave Mason had to say, and I started to develop a relationship, but then, like I said, I'd kind of go back out because of my reservations. But this one time, this is where my life changed. Everything came together. So I'm facing 7 to 9 years. They have a Bible study. I've been there about a month, and now I want to go. So I go to the Bible study, and Pastor Dave starts on Romans chapter 1. And we would go through the chapters for about an hour and a half with a detailed, discussion about every verse and getting a full understanding. And so I went through the whole book of Romans with him over the weeks. And during this process, I didn't get on my knees, but I just prayed out to God, and I told him, I said, I accept what I'm going to get. I had no clue of how long I was going to be away. But I truly had a wave of peace come over me in that moment. And what I told him, my words were, I know that I don't belong in society right now. If I go back out there, I'm still going to continue in my ways. I said, there's whatever time that you're going to give me, I'm okay with. And I really was okay with it at that point. And it was just, I can't explain the feeling, but it was almost like a comfort that sometimes we feel when we're alone and we want to be home, and then we walk home and we feel that security. And just knowing in that moment of peace, that's what I had. And I carried it on through me, battling my case for almost a year in the county, developing my relationship every way that I could with Jesus, and I established that relationship, and it become a bond that cannot be broken. It's just so genuine and so natural to me, as before it was very abstract or just very, uncomfortable, something that I'm not used to, but it was comfortable. So I ended up getting 2.5 years out of all of that, which totally amazes me. And I had a public defender, so I know that was God's hand in everything. So back in 2006, I went to jail. My son was about a year old. That was my first time that I went to prison. And just trying to give you a little history of my life here, just bear with me. When I went to jail this last time in 2012, the last thing I seen was my son looking out his grandpa's window. It's gonna choke me up. We'll never have to do that again. But so that was one of the turning points too, So I went in there, and it's not a place you want to be in prison, So I just kept building my faith with God and praying and doing the next right thing, and diving into His Word. But I dove into a lot of different things there too, just anything that I could use to sponge up to help me become a better man, so that I can come out and be, father to my son and what I am to everyone else around me. And so through working through that, I had 2 options for my parole, and one of them was to go to my sister's house, and the other one was to go to a shelter in Battle Creek. Well, although I was working on myself, I still didn't trust myself enough, because I had to put my feet on the pavement and see really what it is I'm going to do. How am I going to act? Am I really going to follow through with this? And we all kind of know what that is, even if you've been to treatment, and then when you get out, you're like, here's the real world, So I still at that point, even though I had that relationship, didn't trust myself to go into my son's life and then to mess up and not be in it again. I'm not going to do that to him. I'm not going to do it to myself. I'm not going to do it to my family. Like I was determined. So I didn't choose the comforts that were offered to me, because I needed to do it on my own, and I needed to do it with him. And so I go to the shelter without even knowing about a program that they have in Battle Creek called the Haven and Rest Men's Shelter. It's the Life Recovery Program. And it's a year-long recovery program. It's faith-based, and that was the best thing that I ever did. It wasn't a cakewalk by any means, but just like anything else, anything in life worth having, you know, doesn't come free. You gotta work for it. So I put my feet to the ground and I did a lot of praying. I was accepted into that program, and I always had a passion to help people, but I never was in a position where I could. And now, at that time, I was positioning myself to be able to be the man that can help others. So I told the program coordinator, within the first 90 days, you're not allowed to leave the program, you know, really intense stuff, groups all day. And I developed a plan, and I prayed on it, and I wrote it out, and I took it to him, and I'm at like day 60, and school started at like day 75. And I'm like, I presented it to him. Usually he'll say, I pray on it. That's what he says to all the students, or whatever you want to call guests, clients, whatever. And he looked at me, and he just said, okay. And I'm like, okay? He's like, yeah, for me to go enroll in school and to be out before the 90 days are up. And school started like, you know, 2 weeks later or something. And in order to make sure that that's the path that God truly wanted me on, I asked him to make it as difficult as possible for me to enroll in school. Because if it is, then that's not for me. Well, everything just came together, and I haven't been to school since high school. I did graduate. And it was scary for me to go, because here I am. You know, on parole. I'm in a program that might have a stigma on it, you know, in a homeless shelter, going to the college there, and I was afraid of what other people might think of me. I was afraid to go to school and be like the old guy in the class and all that kind of stuff, but pushed through it. Everything went good. I ended up getting my associate's degree. During that time, thanks, woo. During that time, I ended up, I graduated the program, and the day I graduated my program, a position opened up for me to work in a recovery house as a manager, a brand new situation, brand new house. So I worked in that for about a year. The politics got in the way and they shut the program down, which it was very successful, like at a 70% rate in the time that it was run. But so after that, I ended up working at a treatment center in Battle Creek, or Augusta. Worked there for a while. It was a high-end treatment, but I think that a lot of people there were there for a paycheck. I was very passionate driven, and things just didn't kind of line up, and you know, stuff happened in my life where I was just like, I don't want to be far away from my son anymore. And I had an opportunity and the means to move over this way. So that's what I did, and I feel like God set me down for a minute at that time, because things were getting a little chaotic, and so I became still for a minute, and a little longer than I wanted to. And I kind of prayed, and I said, God, you know, I understand you want me to slow me down, but you also told me that you want me to help people, and me sitting here trying to get jobs isn't helping people, you know. I said that prayer, you know, I said, just open something up, please, so I can help people. And then I went for my interview for Home and New Vision, where I previously worked. And after the interview, they told me, you know, they'll call me in a day or two. Well, I got a call later that day with the offer for the position. And I was worried about my transition, because like I had all of my recovery over there, all of my, you know, supports and everything like that. And here, you know, I'm going to be moving away from that. So that was a little bit scary. And I didn't know what to expect when I came over here to Jackson. I'll say still that God places people in your lives for a reason. And it could be a short time, it could be a long time, it could be one conversation, it could be years. You just got to be able to recognize that. And there's several in the room. Everybody almost everybody in this room I've seen once before. It's just what I'm getting at is he no matter where you go, if you're walking with God, He's always going to be with you. And the people that He wants in your life, as long as you're positioned, are going to be there. You know, I developed such a mindset about, you know, positivity and placing people in your lives that line up with what it is that you're about. You know, that way you can build with each other. It's just a beautiful thing, you know. Like, I don't want to go too far into, like, in my story on this one. You know, I'm trying to put it together in the time frame, but, you know, I was active at, like, 14. I become dependent when I was 15. I lived on my own, basically, since all of that, and I provided for myself in ways that, you know, required me to do things that I wasn't happy to do. And then, you know, I would work and I would go to school and all of that, but it just wasn't, it was a lot of wasted years, and that's some of the things I had to work through, you know, because you're like, here you are now, and you're like, man, I could have done so much more. I could have done so much more. And that kind of gets stuck in, you know, my head sometimes, but I just turn around and use that as a positive to just make up for that time, you know, to be able to touch people's lives. You know, ultimately, I know that I'm here to help save a soul. That's what it comes down to. But within that, living in the human world, you know, we have our issues that we have that we need to work through as well, and to help other people work through. So I mean, uni creating this, it's just everybody that does what they do to help other people just really amazes me, because if you have a vision, I feel if you're prayed up about it and you're really walking with Jesus on things, it's gonna open up for you. And if it doesn't, the other thing is gonna open up for you that He really had planned. But I feel, plant seeds in my head through other people that I talk to, you know. It's just, I will say, it is truly amazing, though. I ended up, like I said, I got my degree. I actually own a home. I own a couple cars. I have a relationship with my son. He stays with my sister. Through this process, we lost his mother in 2008. And then in 2009, or 3 months later in 2008, we lost my dad. And then 3 years later, we lost my mom. That's a lot of stuff to work through. So I'm gonna tell a story too that helped me change my life, and it chokes me up, but I'll share it with you. So when I first went away, Austin was 1. And through that process, he lost his mom, and then he lost his grandpa before I got out of prison. I went through boot camp and stuff. I did time, but I had to wait, and then I had to wait again to go to boot camp because of technical stuff. And then, so I'm out of boot camp, first time in prison, and my mom comes to pick me up, and I'm actually going to my mom's house and dad's house that I haven't been at in years. And so Austin's there, and he fell asleep, and I had to ask my mom, because my stepfathers, who passed in 2008, my real father passed when I was 3 years old. And I asked my mom as we were riding home, and I kind of knew, but I just wanted to hear from my mom. I'm like, Mom, what do I do when Austin asks me about his mother? You know, and she's like, well, you got to talk to him. And Austin was 3 or so, yeah, 3. And she's like, well, you just, you know, let him know about God and heaven and everything like that. And I didn't expect Austin to ask me about, you know, anything like that. Like, you know, where's my mom? What happened to my mom? Because it'd been some time. And the first night, I'll never forget it. One of the things that I'd always do with my kids, because I raised the stepson through all this too, was, watch movies and hang out at the end of the night. So Austin and I are sitting watching a movie, Snow Buddies. I don't know if you guys remember that one with the dogs and stuff. Yeah, so, and then he looks at me and he asks me when Mom was coming back. That was hard. It's hard to talk about it, thing I learned through all this is, Austin's been through so much, and the people that we affect when we're actively using, I just want to tell you that these relationships can be mended, and life as it's supposed to be with our loved ones can and will be, as long as you walk the walk and put in the effort needed. And what I realized with that is first I went out of Austin, and I'm looking through his perspective. First I went out of Austin's life, and then his mother, and then his grandpa. And then I'm the first one back. I was the first one gone, so I thought that, maybe Austin was thinking that, Mom's coming back too. So I'm saying these things too because, I'm a very transparent person, and, I had to work through this stuff, in order to heal. You have to work through these things. You got to be honest with you about you, like I was saying. And I got to a point now where I can speak some of these things openly because I hope that it encourages people that have those things packed away to unpack it, because it is okay. It's okay to feel some of this pain, like hope, the acronym, hold on, pain ends. It's not as bad as it was before, and the reason I say that is because you can learn to manage it in a different way, and the pain will still be there. We're still going to go through things in our lives, right? We just got to find out what we're going to do differently, and it looks like everybody in here, our higher power, Jesus, is that rock for us, right? And it gives us everything in common. If we walk in his ways, we're really untouchable. Not to be narcissists, but we are untouchable because his will's already designed for us, So as long as we're doing the next right thing, we're gonna be positioned with our loved ones that are supposed to be there and have a good life. And it doesn't always work that way, though. I'm gonna say that too. A lot of friends and even family that I love, I had to cut off because they're in a different place than I am, I'm just very thankful that I am in a position to help people. At the treatment center I worked at, you would think that these, people that have $3 million cottages, not even homes, seem like they'd have their life together, but they were still missing something. I don't know if they grabbed the piece of Jesus out of it. I would always plant that seed with people. The reason I left that place is because they allowed me to teach refuge recovery there on their curriculum. I can't say it. Thank you. Glad you're here. She's my wing woman. So, but they wouldn't let me teach. I'm drawing a blank. Celebrate recovery. And so that kind of made me look at things, and I'm like, do I really want to work for people that are denying him? So I had a long conversation with myself and God on that, and that's when I ended up moving. But I am here, and I'm just going to say that I'm not going to be leaving Jackson for a long time. I'm always trying to help people. I just helped a person get into treatment the other day. I'm not working. I'm still currently unemployed. But with that, I want to take a minute to let you guys know that there is a new nonprofit here in town, and we're getting ready to launch here in the near future. It's called The Recovery Life. We are recognized by the state right now. We are working with Mike Hurst a little bit, whereas we have an office set up space already for 80's place that's being built out here. Our main goal, one of the gaps here, there's no recovery coaches that can do true one-on-one, like go to your house or take you to an appointment or do things. There's some limitations that are in town, and our goal is to bridge that gap and help people based if they're going to therapy with their treatment plan, develop our recovery plan according to it, and then just help a person, break down their barriers, because we still have them all the time in our recovery, and we had them in our mess, and we just didn't know how to navigate everything all the time. So we're going to be there to advocate and to love and to help people in a way that hopefully not too much red tape is going to get in the way of too. That way we can truly help the individual, pour some Jesus into them too. So I know that's like a really short kind of segmented story, but I guess to wrap it all up, people can change. Some people find their recovery in a different way, and that's great. There's many pathways to recovery. It's possible. I'm very, very blessed to be where I'm at today. I'll have 8 years without any substances on Christmas. Yeah. I never thought I'd ever say that. I actually forgot, the timeline. I had to think about it. Like, is it 7? Is it 6? Is it 8? I'm not a number person. I just know that today I'm not picking up. You know what I mean? I got too much to lose. I've worked for it. I've earned it. And that means trust, love, money, opportunities. He's cleared a path for me, and I really feel like right here is where I'm supposed to be. I don't know about a few years down the road that might all change. This recovery life thing might not go through. I did the same thing I did for school. Until I asked God, I said, hey, if this isn't meant to be, make it hard as you can for me. And I haven't really hit into too much. I mean, he threw COVID at me. God's bigger than COVID, right? Yeah. So here we are. Here I am. My name's Aaron, and I just thank you all. I love y'all. I don't even know everybody, but I love everyone in this room. And I really love my son. So thanks for sticking by my side, bud.